get the conversation going.
Um, well, that is a good topic as far as talking about relapse prevention, and actually, it's a pretty good topic for me to reflect on and talk about right now, because I have recently felt the need to. I don't know, I guess examine my recovery and look at what I need to do to stay more spiritually fit, because I found myself having using dreams. And using dreams aren't necessarily a relapse trigger, but they can be, and it can be a signal that something might be lacking in my program. So I've been taking a look at that recently, and trying to stay more spiritually fit and connected to my higher power, making more of a point to actually pray and attend more meetings and just step up my program a little bit more than what I had been, because I just had one too many that just seemed, it just made me take a look at what's going on, and made me a little uncomfortable. So I know that I have some work to do in that category. So that was a good topic. Thank you for that. And really, I'm just grateful for the fact that I was able to recognize that something might not be quite the way it should be, or might not be quite up to par. And I know what it is. I just hadn't been going to as many meetings as I had been before. So I was not staying as connected to my fellowship as I could be. And when they say you're not working on your recovery, you're working on a relapse, and I definitely believe that. So I got to step it up and work on my recovery. So that's all.
I'm glad you said that. You always talk about all these cliches and whatever, and
Yeah, those they true.
yeah, they're true. But I thought it was like somebody trying to get me to sell Amway. They just threw out a whole bunch of things to make me go to meetings, and somebody sitting in Tibetan mountains is getting rich because I go to more meetings or something, or it was a bunch of boring people who never had a life before sitting around coming up with that so somebody would come and sit with them. I had all kinds of preconceived notions about the program, and I got deep into the program when life started kicking me in the teeth, in order to stay sober. But then, when I started backing, way, way away from the program and even trying to think about it, then I found out, it's like, I sure wish I could, trying to think of, something, some of them old cliches to try to keep yourself saved, sane and sober. Anyway, Mr. Diallo, how are you, sir?
I'm blessed. I can't complain. Sit here and I'm taking in what everybody's talking about. But when I think relapse prevention, for me it is, I have to be real with myself 100%. And let me go a little more in depth than that. Even when I'm telling lies, I got to tell myself, yeah, you're lying. Just because I'm in recovery, see, some people get the wrong idea about recovery, especially when they get into recovery and they start talking about principles and this, that, and the other. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop lying. It don't mean that I'm going to stop everything that I'm doing. What it does, it tells me I start recognizing the things that I'm doing and do my best not to do them. Yeah. But when they happen, I have to call myself on these things. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't steal anymore.
I'm quite sure there's a bunch of convenience stores and Walmarts across the nation that is very happy for that statement.
And what's so crazy about that, since you bring that up, it's not that every time I walk into a store, I case one. I'm just sorry, that's what I do. I do it. I walk around and look at that boy, they sleep. And I stop. I just can't help it. But thankfully that I'm not responsible for my thoughts. I'm responsible for my actions. And I'm with Gaynell. When things really get bogged down on me, I know that it's time for me to go to a meeting. The meeting is the best place for me to stay tapped into a power greater than myself. It gives me a chance to see how bad cocaine still is without actually going out and testing it myself. And I say that when I go into rooms and I see a newcomer who's still smarting over maybe 2 or 3 days clean, or maybe a couple hours clean, and I can see that drugs is still dangerous. Even though when I get down to the meat and potatoes of recovery, it lets me know that drugs and alcohol are just 50% of my problem. The 85% is me. How I react to life itself and the problems. Today, I'm gonna say there's a saying in the rooms that really gets on my nerves. It bites me every time I hear when I hear another addict say that I'm only a drink or drug away from a relapse. I'm really a lot farther than a drink or drug away from a relapse. And I'm sorry, it's just the way I feel. It would take a systematic chain of events for me to pick up today. So no, drinking drug away, no, that's not going to work. My disease knows it can't come from the back door. It can't come. It's got to come disguised, looking just like me very well, to get me to use. But that's why I have sponsorship. Now I have to say I haven't completed my step work, which every time I talk to my sponsor, I say, "Hey, we need to sit down and do it." And he looks at me, sure. When you pull the book out, we'll get started. And that's something I know I have to finish. But when it comes to recovery, I live a recovered life. Just because someone doesn't see me in the rooms, like I said in the meeting, just because you don't see me in the rooms doesn't mean that I'm not living a recovered life. But relapse prevention, there's a lot of things that we as addicts have to do to stay, like Gary Nelson said, spiritually fit. And the basic one, which one works for me, is the ABCs of recovery. Keep God first, clean house, help others. Works for me.
Thanks, Diallo. Sound like I'm in a meeting. Okay, first, at a Talk with the People, we are dedicated to being an independent outlet for discussions on issues that plague the individual and affect our community as a whole. This show is not associated with any religion, denomination, or recovery fellowship. We may freely speak from our experiences and opinions or from any source that leads to solutions for recovery and serenity. Hi. Just had somebody else sit at the table. It's kind of an open place here. We're at the Crossroads Mall, and we seen somebody, and I'm not going to tell who she is. I'm not going to put her out on blast, and she's not on camera. So she should be right fine where she's sitting, and she's sitting there saying she ain't saying nothing. Like we asked her to testify. This is not federal courtroom. You're not dropping a dime on anybody. I mean, one of the things, it's like there are demons that plague me, and where it used to be active using, demons that just tugged on me and whatever. But there are still things in my past that I have to beat off. They come back up. I didn't just, I didn't make it out clean. I made it out. Now for me staying out, you can call that relapse prevention. I can also call it me fighting off these old demons that come back. It's like right now, however many 24 hours I got, which, in some cases somebody might feel like they're a lot. I don't feel like it's enough, but I couldn't be in charge of the crack cocaine, depository at the police station, the property room, inventory. You could not make me in charge of that. You know what I'm saying? I am not that good. I'm not that far along. I don't know. You can't send me to Jamaica and hand me a pipe and a lighter and send me into the mountains with the Rastafarians. I might not come back. So I think about where I go. Now I can walk in a bar and everybody and their mama can, be drunk, and I don't care. I don't want no alcohol. That's just, it wasn't my thing. Only time it's like, how they say gateway drugs, crack cocaine took me to alcohol. Alcohol didn't take me to crack cocaine. So if I do crack cocaine, then I'll do alcohol. And I don't want marijuana legalized. I think it'll be disruptive. I don't want people being, I don't want to decriminalize is one thing. Legalize sounds a little bit different. When you have dispensaries and all that other stuff, some kind of, that can be very disruptive to a community. We got so many issues right now. That's all we need. Now there might be a few less murders. Everybody was stoned out of their mind. But still, I want my community to be productive and moving forward, and that kind of drags it back. But going back to my demons, the things that happened to me as a child, my childhood experiences, things I was lacking, judgments I made against people, and all kinds. There's all kinds of little things. Mommy didn't give me enough. Mommy gave my sister a bigger piece of candy than I got, and there's so many things that has really no bearing on my life. But when I think about them, they run through my mind. I can trick myself right into feeling bad, feeling depressed, and feeling possibly with like Diallo, a certain set of circumstances fall together, and I could fall. So that's the thing about having sponsorship, having the program, having the materials, and fellowshipping with other people that are trying to recover. Now I can't hang around with a bunch of people who's not in recovery, but we know where that lead us. But moving on to Earl Brown.
Brian, Gaynell mentioned something. You're using dreams, you have loss of sleep, those type of things. To me today, they are an indicator to me that my disease, or let me just re-emphasize that, my dis-ease. When I feel an internal dis-ease, I learn to pay attention to what's going on, because that dis-ease is my disease trying to morph into a different form, trying to be a shapeshifter, because it's still cunning, baffling, and powerful. So what I have to do when I start feeling some disease, and I know it's my disease trying to come at me in a different way, I take a look at one of the lines in the Just for the Day. Just for the day, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. So I'll have to call a sponsor. Like Brian says, go to a meeting. I have to share with somebody in the program, because I need to get some good, clear advice. I can't call Pookie. Because
Pookie got advice.
It
ain't good. He listened to Ray.
But I think Pookie is part of my disease. If I go, that's my disease telling me. But I had to have some good, clear thinking from people that I trust and believe in me in the program, that have most of the time gone down this road of sobriety for me. I have to have a sponsorship family. My sponsor has a sponsor, and his sponsor has a sponsor. And so I have to have people that I could go to and talk to when I'm feeling disease. There's a religious song that I like, and it says, there's trouble in my home, you're going to cry sometime. Well, when there's trouble in my home, and when I'm crying sometime, when I'm crying at night, that's when I need to call somebody. That's when I need to share what's going on with me. Because if I'm left to my own devices, then that disease thinking comes in and say that just toss another one on the pipe. Right. Or just get one beer and calm yourself down. No, that leads me down that same path. I tried all those solutions. So I need to make sure that I get plugged into the fellowship and the good, clear thinking of someone that believes in me and trusts me, and that is already a part of the program. Sometimes I get the same information from spirituality, my preacher in church, because I'm gonna get that good, clear message, and that's what I need to have to fight my disease, is that good, clear message, because my disease is still cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it morphs in so many different ways. I got to bring someone else in to check me. Brian Gaynell, you might remember the people talking about the Johari window. Well, one part of that window is a blind spot about myself, that I can't see myself. that has to get revealed to me through you. That's why I had to trust people at some point in time so that I could stay on track, because it can be, once again, that disease can be it can be my disease thinking, and my disease takes on so many forms and shapes. I couldn't even begin to list them. So in trying to avoid and not going back out, that's one of my things that I look at. I need to be in touch with what I'm feeling internally, and then I need to share with someone else what I'm feeling so that I can get some good, clear information.
I remember when I finally admitted that I was weak, and in trying to gain strength, that there were certain things I could do, like I could cry, and be strong, or not cry and be weak, that I could submit to the program and be weak and give my all to the program and be strong, standing up with others, having others support me, in my down moments. I would hate to have to go back to being by myself, because myself never got me anywhere. Myself got me sitting in this chair, and so I'm grateful to God that I have been introduced to the program and introduced to the people. The program, is people, both individually and collectively. And I can go somewhere and not know anybody, and there's somebody that will tell me something that'll benefit me. I drove truck all over this country, and everywhere I went, I never had more than an hour or two I could find dope. And now, I can go anywhere in this country and within an hour or two find hope. That I don't have to, I don't have to fall to this. But, distancing myself from those who use, but not turning my back on them, was a problem that I had. I felt like I had to get all involved in somebody's life while they're, that I used to use with and whatever, when they weren't trying to recover, But I have to treat them a little bit at a distance, to encourage and encourage them, but not turn my back on them, but reach out for them and try. As long as you come in this direction, I'm with you.
Right.
But if you pull back, that's another thing that is important, in order not to wind up being a statistics. Those statistics. How they have people stand up. There's 5 of y'all standing here, and 3 of you are going back. Right away, and the other one he's not far behind. Or you want to be that one that makes it, or you want to be those, the other guys. Shut up.
But it is a sad thing that most of us ain't gonna make it, though. It's true. It doesn't have to be true, but it.
Well, no, I don't. Well, I've always been told, and it's always held true. That over the years that I've gotten clean, I've watched people go. Mm-hmm. Some of us have to die so others can live.
That's true.
And it's a sad, unfortunate thing that we can't save everyone. Mm-hmm. We give people advice. We give people the benefit. I'm gonna say I give people the benefit of a vast experience of how to do things wrong. That is my expertise. I know.
You have a doctorate in doing things wrong?
I have a doctorate in doing the wrong shit. And I am licensed to give advice on what you shouldn't do.
He's a doctorate of wrong shitology.
And it amazes me.
All right, kids can't watch this show.
Oh, excuse my language.
Yeah.
I forgot. It amazes me how I see people that used to watch me do drugs who now do drugs. That just baffles me. That baffles me. The same people that pointed fingers at me and called me crackheads are now crackheads.
I thought they could do it better than you.
Well, you know what? I know something about that.
When I was in school, right, you know, I was one of the guys. I don't know, they call them stoners now, but you know, it was heads back then. You know, he went in pot heads. He was a head. He always high. You know what I'm saying? And the girls didn't want nothing to do with me because I was always high. You know, and then I was fat, and you know, they were size 3s, you know, and they didn't get high. Now they 3Xs and they high, drunk, and smoking crack. You know. Girl, you started this one. Anyway, I gotta blame it on somebody. That was another one of my issues. It was everybody else's fault.
Right.
You know, it was the milkman's fault because he brought the wrong milk. You know, and didn't bring the ice cream. Remember we had to. Everybody here too young. No, Earl.
I do remember.
Yo, you remember the milkman that used to come by the house, the Robert Dairy man used to pull up?
Glass bottles of cold. It'd be cold milk.
Yeah.
At the door. Yes. I ain't that young.
Sitting there waiting and watching. I know he come by today. You know. Anyway, before we tell all our ages, but there's so many things that, you know, we suppressed in our lives and whatever, and that's another thing. Okay, I'm an advocate of the program. Believe me, I'm waving that banner. But Earl, you know, there are some things that a therapist can help you through that the program can't. There are some things that pastoral counseling that a pastor may be able to take you through different areas and whatever. But on the therapy side, you know, some of the garbage and wreckage of our past that affected everybody else, but we might have been in the wake of somebody else's wreckage. You know, when, you know, we had, alcoholic parents, grandparents, you know, uncles, cousins, everybody used. You know what I'm saying? We, you know, Madeira big family reunion and everybody there. Well, my family reunion, you know, it always had to wind down early because Uncle so-and-so, I ain't going to say his name because I might have to fight his kids, but, you know, Uncle so-and-so be drunk, want to hit people and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, then there was cousin so-and-so's dad who thought he could whoop every kid and want to whoop on you and whatever, you know. And, you know, there was some bad things that we hid in our family that kind of affected us. And Dio. You got anything? Got nothing. Okay, Earl, it's your turn.
Well, I was thinking, it was growing up and watching my father, who was an alcoholic, and kids and people that I knew in the neighborhood. It was just a foregone conclusion that you could continue to drink and use to the day you die. Recovery was not even. It might have been thought of then, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And so people just expected to continue to use to the day they die. Today, we don't have to have that as our eventuality. We can find a new way to live. We can find some recovery. And I think no longer is it a foregone conclusion that we must continue to use. Everyone hasn't gotten the message, because as I go through some of the streets that I grew up on, I used to walk. My track was between Ames and Cummings Street on 24th Street until I wore the shoe leather off my shoes. Sometimes I get a ride, drop me off one spot, then I just pick up my trek again. But when I go down the same path today and I look and I see that there's so many that didn't and hadn't gotten the message, and it looks like it's maybe their reality that they'll continue to use to the day they die. But the best I could do is my home group is in that track now on 24th and Evans, and the best I could do is try to bring some example of a new way to live, so that those that are still out there, if we keep the doors open, maybe one day they will find us. But that's the way it was, and I remember before I knew what recovery was, before I was a using and practicing addict and alcoholic myself, my experience, my observation were that people continue to use till they die, and sometimes it was an early death, due to an argument and a fight in a bar at home where somebody got cut, shot, or stabbed. You know, that was reality in the community. But I'm just thankful today that we can help bring a different reality,
Right.
an opportunity to do something different.
Along that line, though, what I was really trying to hint around, I went too far, was about therapy. You know, seeing a therapist, seeing a psychologist, seeing a psychiatrist. You know, about because our people are ashamed about going to a therapist. You know, don't want to take the medication, don't want to go to a psychiatrist. First of all, don't want to admit that they have an issue. You know, the only reason why most people will admit they have an issue if they see an angle that they can get free drugs. I can get some Zoloft and some Xanax, and I can sell them. You know, rather than really trying to better their lives and latch on to some recovery, they just looking for another way of getting high. But therapy, therapy can be a helpful tool. It's not, I don't know, somebody might need lifelong therapy. But the one thing about the Narcotics Anonymous or the whole 12-step program process, Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, those things is ongoing. But I don't know, I needed therapy. I went to one therapist because I went to Nova for group counseling and individual counseling and all that, not to go to prison. On my case, I seen a therapist outside that, to keep my kids. I went to another one who reported, and all them people reported to my probation officer, while I was going through pretrial and all that other stuff. So I went and got me a side counselor,
That you could tell.
I had, just, like side wife, what I'm saying, side man, whatever. They had to pick up the slack, but on a serious note, I could BS them. And I went in there and BS'd them. I told them what they wanted to hear. That's one of the problems I have about doing drug and alcohol counseling when somebody comes in and they just trying to stay out of jail and they tell me what they think I want to hear, to get through. But I, which I did, but I still had enough sense, and the fortunate luck to find a loophole that I could go see somebody that didn't report and tell on me, so they would sentence me in my my pre-sentence. My pre-trial, then my pre-sentence, investigations, that could help me, and then after I was off and no longer needed it, I still went back and got more. I know I needed more help, and there's more, those demons that I need somebody to help me force back into the closet and keep them under lock and key, besides drug and alcohol. I had issues. I had, the rebound effect of dealing with some of my own personal demons and shortcomings. Anyway, I just throw that out there to the group.
Well, Brian, early on, early in recovery, I think many of us are in the same place where we need to hear some truth, some life-saving message, wherever it comes from. If it comes from our preacher, T.D. Jakes, whatever the source is, or it could come from a judge saying, if you come down here one more time, sometimes that works. We have to hear all these messages, and sometimes we have some people that if we wind up going to a meeting, have drug and health counselors for sure, or if we do talk to an actual therapist, even though we may not have gotten to that place where we could be rigorously honest and taking a look at ourselves inside. In the beginning, we're going to have to, we only can take these small bits of truth.
Bye, Gay Nails, Mom.
And hopefully over time,
Bye-bye.
They can plant a seed and they can begin to grow in us. But two things I believe in. One is is transubstantiation, which means that the truth, whether it's psychology, religion, or the program, there's a grain of truth that's consistent in all of them. The other is the therapeutic value of one addict working with another. That is without parallel. I think that really to me is the and I'm a trained licensed therapist, but I'll just share with. I heard one counselor say when I went to a conference. He said, "Yeah, this is what I've learned. This is what I studied. But when I get behind the doors and I'm working with an addict, I talk to him about the program, you know." And having worked as a drug and alcohol counselor, you know what? One of the last things that I suggest to everyone: be a part of a 12-step program for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, is it just me?
What?
Earl, give us that term again. You know, Earl got to throw something out there deep, heavy. You know what I'm saying? You know, this was a moment of, you know, deep heaviness from Chicago Brown. Dr. Brown, would you please give us that term that you used a minute ago?
Transubstantiation.
Okay, as long as everybody got that.
I'm going to break that down.
You want to break? He broke it down. You were asleep. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Transubstantiation. What trans means, it travels from one to the other.
Okay.
Substantiation means the essence of truth.
Okay.
So the essence of truth is substantiated, whether it's the 12 steps, whether it's the scripture, or
Okay.
whether it's psychology.
Gotcha.
So it can be the Bible, the Quran, the 12-step. It could be NA, AA, any of the publications. The same truth makes it through all of them
Yeah.
and comes right back around, because the truth shall set you free.
So we could benefit from all of those, and early on, we don't know which one is going to hit our ears in the right way, that we're going to hold on to it, but we just let it hit our ears in the right way, and then hopefully it'll be another grain of truth, no matter where it comes from. Could be Joyce Myers, you know, and we continue to add on and build until we get enough to be self-sustaining our recovery, you know, with the help of sponsorship and others in the program.
Is it anything like, it could just come from a babe? It could come, that little piece of information, that we need to be a sponge for the right thing, and it might come from a surprising source, and that we need to be open-minded in our recovery rather than closing off. It might, more likely, it might come from an elder. Some of them things Grandma said has credence today.
Ooh. Eat your vegetables.
Yeah.
How real is it? You thought it wasn't real, but you go and there ain't no greens for too long. Your whole system is going to be in dis-ease.
Okay, we did come on the air a little bit late, and we hope everybody still hung in there. And so we're going to run a little bit over, the 8 o'clock hour because, of technical difficulties. But the whole program is recorded. So what you didn't hear, those who, got the feed late, will be on the replay. When you replay it, you'll get to hear, all the things that you've missed. But I don't know. Relapse prevention. No, I mean, it's more like maintenance,
Yeah.
My car, my work vehicle, let's say my work vehicle, I get the oil change every month. On the 15th of every month, I get the oil change. Most people, lucky if you change your oil, once a year,
Right.
And the reason that I change it once a month because I use it a lot. It's been through a lot. It's been around for a long time, so wear and tear is on it. So the reason that I got to do some things for my recovery very often, like get my spiritual oil changed on a regular basis, that I have to do these things is because I've been around a long time, I've been through a lot, and I could fail at any time. And so I need all the help that I can get to continue moving forward. And so as I continue to try to move forward and still operate without, breaking down or quote, quote, relapsing, I need to have, like I said, I need a spiritual oil change, and I need a word. Right now I know that, I'm missing some things. I can see little bits and pieces of my program that they're severely flawed, and some things that are not attended to. just trying to work out some things alone is not working out too well for me, and so I need to call my pastor and some other things, and
Let me know if you need to talk.
you'll be there.
For you.
You'll be there for me.
I'm here for you.
Oh, you know what? You my jelly to go on my peanut butter. You just gotta love her though. It's so good to have. It's good to have friends who ain't out to get you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Friends who are not trying to put a hole in the Brillo so all your dope gets sucked down to it. And then
Switch
snatch the
pipes
pipe
on.
from you and
Right.
smoke it. Friends who go buy a piece of dope and break a piece of it up under their fingernail and hand it to you and say that's all they gave me. Those days are all over.
Right.
Now I got friends who are genuinely care about my recovery, and whether or not I'm doing the right thing for myself and look out for me, and they're there for me, with an ear.
But see, my addict mind wants to remind me of those times when those things happened, like having those using dreams. I mean, that dream was so vivid to me that I could see in detail what the drug looked like. And, I don't want to use, my conscious mind don't want to use, but my subconscious mind wants to tell me that that's the right thing to do when I'm feeling restless, irritable, and discontented. It wants me to go and do something that's going to give me some instant gratification, that's going to make me feel better right now, and to take all that away, and you don't have to deal with none of that stuff. Girl, come and get me, And if I'm not careful, I'll start listening to that.
Gaynell,
message.
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did you feel when you realized it was just a dream?
I was so relieved. I know it. Because, it was so real. It was so real. And for me, that's why having that connection with my higher power is so important, because when I wake up from something like that at 3 o'clock in the morning and ain't nobody there but me and him, I get to be thankful and grateful and, just say, good looking out, big guy. I'm glad you was here for me, and that I ain't got to re-incriminate myself like that no more, that this was just a dream, and like I said, I have been kind of having them kind of too frequently for my own comfort, and I know that it was just a symptom of me being complacent in my recovery and in my program. I know that. And I'm just grateful that I have the tools to be able to recognize that and see that that's exactly what it was. And I also have those tools to combat that, to be able to fight that off. I know that having those types of dreams and those types of thoughts are just a symptom of my disease, and it's not going to be a matter of if they happen, it's going to be an issue of when it happens. So, I just have to, stay spiritually fit and vigilant.
Somebody get the villagers and have them chase Frankenstein around the room. I've been having some, a couple of nights ago, I had a little wrestle around. I didn't quite make it to the using, but it was working its way up to it. And I woke up with a serious crick in my neck yesterday. It felt like somebody was stabbing me in my neck. And the whole thing is, you got to take care of you. You got to sleep right, eat right, not be tired, take care of your body, and it's the whole thing. Like I said, it's a whole entire maintenance program. And like I said, I still don't, I don't get that Amway feeling anymore that I'm selling Amway or Fuller brushes or all those other little things, bean pies or anything like that. This is not, a religious thing or whatever, that it's really about me, the individual, and that I am important, and that my recovery is important. And there's other people who will take my recovery for being important, and they will give me good, positive advice.
Yes.
Earl, you got anything else?
No, I like the way you put that, Brian.
I swear, he's the Zen master. It's like, go, at high noon every day, somebody hits the gong, and we all sit and we all meditate, and then our guru Earl will come along and say a very powerful message, a one-liner, and then walk away, and then we'll all walk away and talk about it, and it'll help us make it through the day.
Well, the way you do that today, Brian, you don't just walk away, you just drop the mic.
Say if President Obama can drop the mic and say Obama out, and drop the mic. I mean, but wow, there are so many things, so many powerful messages that I've heard in recovery. There's just so many things. There's so many faces, that I've seen, along the way that inspired me,
Hey, Brian, let me ask you, have you ever collected like tapes from a speaker or a meeting
Yes.
and just played it until
It don't work.
it
no
just
more.
wore out?
Yeah.
I mean, you got so much out of it.
Yeah.
Every time you listen to it, you might have got a little something else out of it.
And if you wait a while and go back to one of them, all of a sudden it's like I don't remember they saying that, and now you got something new off of it.
Yeah.
Almost unbelievable. It's like there's some hidden messages, some nuances that you get, from listening to it again that brings new life to it, and they don't get old. They really don't. And it's like, glory be to God that I have a discerning ear, when I go back and re-listen to it again. It's like, I know my dear brother, I drug him here. See, he's a drug addict. Not a drug addict. I drug. How did you get here? I drug him at it. I drug him over here. And I appreciate. Dio can recall more things than I can remember. About recovery. It's a strange thing about when you're in a situation where you're sponsoring somebody, and somebody will get more out of the program than you got, and then you extract information from them. I know it's like he sleep, he nodding, and then he'll come out and say the most profound thing, and it's like, man, I wish I had said that, but there is something. I hope somebody's not telling me my mic is bad, but anyway, I just want to say, to the panel here, even with what we got from my goddaughter Buffy, I appreciate that segment. And if that was not on when you were trying to listen to this, go back over and listen to the things that Buffy did add. So rewatch this program when it comes back up. I just want y'all to know I appreciate it. And why am I sober and why I don't relapse? Let me count the ways. One, a loving higher power whom I call God. My willingness to learn and listen. And then the three people here are the three of the pillars in my life that support me and hold me up. And now the fourth one besides the program is this program. Coming to this program and meeting up with everybody, and not with 75 other people, with trying to say who can see who can one up somebody by saying the most awesome thing, but coming from the heart in this in this small group of friends, it feels good to know that y'all are here for me, and that's the main thing, about somebody trying to prevent themselves from relapsing, rather than these people are not here to prevent me from relapsing. Far as their goal, my goal is for me not to relapse, and they happen to be some of the tools that I use. I use friendship, fellowship, relationships, all kinds of things. My higher power, the program, all these things, all these tools at my disposal. I have a tool that stays in my basement. I have one that's only a phone call away. I have more than one. I've got a pastor, who, if things get bad, I can talk to. you know, at these perilous times, we need people in our corner, you know, and if you don't, you know, don't burn bridges, and if you burn some, try to repair them, you know, slowly, you know, show up, do you know, show everybody that you are a new person and continue to work whether they know it or not, and repair those relationships, you know, and, you know, being out here alone will do no one any good, you know, because we didn't start getting high alone. That's one thing that made it easier to relapse was that I could find more people to smoke crack with or get high with than I could to talk something about sobriety when it started. Anyway, Gaynell.
I just want to give a shout out to sponsorship because that is, even though I don't call my sponsor as much as I should, the words and the recovery that I get from my sponsor, that I got from my sponsor, is always there with me. I always have that source to go back to. And I always use that to give it to somebody else the way it was given to me.
Jiggle it, Mike, a little bit. Okay.
Okay, good. So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to sponsorship for that because, you know, my sponsor was sponsoring me before I even knew what a sponsor was. I had no idea. When I would be high at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and would call and always got an answer to the phone call. Always. I mean, I am forever grateful for that. So,
At the show.
I just, this is a wonderful program. It saved my life. It gave me a life because without it, I didn't have one. And I'm just grateful for the people that were in it before me that showed me how not to have to go back out there and re-incriminate myself and get more experience because the experiences I'm getting today from living in the program are just so totally awesome that I don't want to give that up for anything.
Yeah, I mean, doing this TV show and radio, you know, this internet program that we're doing, you know, I'm grateful to God for, you know, like I said, you know, that we are doing this. I don't know, I get something out of it, but Dio, before we get out of here, you know, you got any last things that you want to add in before we get?
Yeah, the program is
Pull that mic around. Do a mic check.
mic check, mic check. Mic check. The program has really helped me grow. It has shown me to replace bad things with good things like it's time to go because game 1 of the finals just started. And but on a serious note,
That was serious.
shift gears.
Let's digress.
The children are our future, and right now, the children are dying.
Just lost that mic.
We got kids killing kids.
Still gone. There we go. There we go.
I just want to.
Nope.
I just want to say
Yeah, we got it.
to a nation of people that we have to do better by our children.
Yeah.
You know, do as I say, not as I do does not work anymore. If we want your children to be better, then we got to be better. And I'm gonna leave that right there, let that marinate.
Drop the mic.
Or
Thanks, Dio.
Dio out? Okay.
Okay, looking at me. Last words is to go home by. Yeah, we, you know, one thing that I recognized is that when I was out there using, and a lot of times I was not a good example to the youth that were into negative behaviors by selling me and my kids, by not being a good attendant parent. And I'm just trying to get some give back now. I'm trying to be a responsible adult in the community, and I'm trying to fix some of the problems that I may have created years ago. So I'm going to continue to stay where I'm at in the program, never no more. The struggle for me is over, and I will always be on this side of the recovery, if the Lord says the same.
I appreciate that, Earl. I always want to try to use a little humor, but I'm gonna try to stay on a serious note, especially about the children. Our children are endangered species, and they're dying from within. When they look in the mirror, they don't even appreciate themselves. They put up a false image of themselves to themselves and try to portray it to other people. And this is, dangerous at the world. We're imploding. And I just got to, more parents got to step up and make those decisions. I do remember the one Christmas, where Christmas didn't come till January when the checks came out in January because I sold everything for Christmas, to buy more dope to sell. I'm going to sell this and make money, which didn't quite materialize just right. But, I never let my kids go hungry, and my kids never knew about the situation about the toys because they were at my mother's, and then came home and found Christmas, and Dad was still a hero. My kids didn't even know we were poor, but we were living in the projects. I disguise some things, but some things kids are, have a keen, eye and ear and whatever. You can't fool them. And we got to do better as parents. And I do feel a responsibility. I feel a responsibility to everybody's child. I seen a man today driving out 72nd Street, right by Ames, and he went from one side to the other, and was that like 4 lanes right when you come up to 72nd and Ames. And then to turn around, to watch him fall asleep twice and then roll to a stop up against the curb. And then he came out his nod and started trying to talk to his daughter and fluff her hair up, And it's like, this is where we're at in 2016. Anyway, it's been real. It's been fun, and it's even been real fun, but these are serious issues that we talk about. We don't want to go back, and so, service work and being involved in other people's lives and, working the program to save ourselves, but we got to, we go outside of ourselves and try to help others. So anyway, from Talk with the People, I am Brian, and we have Gaynell Diallo, and we have Earl, otherwise known as Chicago Brown. Anyway, we're out of here. We're dropping the mic and going to watch the first game of the NBA Finals.
Ain't 10, dude.
Hey, Brother King.